Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm one of your hosts, Brian, joined with your other host,
Karen.
It's been a while since we've recorded.
Very long time.
About a month or so.
Probably over a month, yes.
We've been pushing out stuff that we pre-recorded and whatnot, but it's been a while since we actually sat down and recorded. And part of that was because you were in Ireland for work.
I was, yes.
I went over for a week. We saw a couple of shows. We're going to do a podcast on that.
Yes.
But that's going to be coming up here in a little bit. Mainly because we just saw a couple of shows the last couple of days that we're going to do 2 episodes on real quick while these...
They're fresh in our minds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the Ireland shows are going to be very high level.
Yeah.
Because, gosh, that's been 3 weeks now, so...
It's going to be about a month before we...
Yeah, get those recorded, so, yeah. But anyways... I think this will be good. Hopefully good.
Yeah,
we haven't done this for a while, so hopefully we remember what we're doing.
What was the first show we saw that we're going to talk about in this episode?
It was the Between the Buried and Me.
Yes.
The Colors tour or something?
The Colors Experience.
Colors Experience, okay.
We'll talk about the whole tour aspect and setup of it here in a minute. We only went to one of the 2 shows, which, again, we'll describe that here in a second. Who was there? They went with one opener only.
The Acacia Strain.
Getting into other details real quick, this was at Bottom Lounge. Your first show at Bottom Lounge.
Yes, yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about the venue here in a second as well, as we do when we go to a venue for the first time. Ticket prices were $29.50 and $5.46 in fees. As we said, this was a unique sort of setup of the performance because it was Between the Buried and Me coming out and playing the Colors album in its entirety for night 1, and then night 2 playing Colors 2 in its entirety, which I think came out in like 2021 or something, and then Colors 1 was like 2004?
2007.
7?
Yeah.
Okay. But a little quick blurb from Blabbermouth real quick, sort of describing the outline of this sort of tour. Grammy Award-nominated progressive metalers Between the Buried and Me have announced a tour that will find them playing 2 shows in each city, with night 1 featuring performance of their acclaimed 2007 album Colors. Well, there you go. Colors, night 1.
Yeah.
2007, sorry.
Yeah,
the year.
That's okay.
Well, there you go. 2007. So, yeah, you were right. It was 2007, not 2004. And night 2 featuring a performance of 2021's follow-up effort, Colors 2. Direct support on The Colors Experience will come from the Acacia Strain, which will perform 2003's Step Into the Light on night 1, along with select tracks from 2004's 3750, 2014's Como Witch. While night 2 will see the group perform 2003's Failure Will Follow, along with the 3750 track Car Bomb. An interesting setup for sure for playing an album in its entirety and doing like your 1 and 2 of the album.
Yeah.
Like Colors 1, Colors 2. We're going to play both of them in its entirety and with a few other tracks as well. They played Between the Buried and Me played one other track, but the Acacia Strain played an album in full plus a handful of other songs, at least for night 1.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure they did on night 2 as well.
But the way it's reading, it sounds like it's only going to be Car Bomb for night 2.
I think that it's really cool how like they set up both nights, because we've talked about this before where like bands play in the same city 2 shows, and how some like when we saw Spirit Box, we saw night 2 I think, or we
night
saw
night
1, but night 2 was exactly the same. Like, do
you know that for sure that it was exactly
well, I
guess
I don't know if it was like maybe one song was different or something, but it was the same performance.
You think so?
Yeah. Where like we talk about Metallica, it's 2 unique shows. So in a way, well, not in a way, but like more than likely these are 2 unique shows because they're doing 2 different albums each night, and then the supporting tracks seem to be different. Yeah, it's interesting because like when you brought Spirit Box up, the night 1 show sold out, I think, so fast. So it's like, oh shit, we have an extra night, we can add a show, and this sold out, so let's do another one. And I don't know if that second one sold out. I think it did. I don't think it did.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But we did this earlier this year too with Poison the Well.
Yeah.
They sold out one show, and they're like, oh fuck it, let's go do another show the very next night. And that one also sold out. Both of those I think sold out. And those situations are a little different, I think, because it's sort of like, oh, there's clearly a demand, let's go ahead and do a second show. But I do like when, like you were pointing out Metallica, at least with this last M72 tour, where they put on 2 unique sets for each show. Dead and Company's a show. Dead and Company's a band I go to see a lot.
Always bring up Dead and Company.
But they do the same thing, and it's awesome.
Night
1, night 2, you're going to have different sets, different experiences each night, and you can go to one and experience it and have a great time. And if you want to go again and see the same band again, I would love to do that. We've done that before when we follow bands around cities.
Yeah. But you see the same show in both cities.
It's the exact same show at both cities. And if a band comes back in 2021 and then 2022 and then 2023, if they don't have any new album, there's a good chance that the majority of that set is going to be the same.
Yeah, Static X.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
We saw them 3 times within the last year.
Yeah. Or 3 Days Grace, who we saw 5 times, and it was the same.
Yeah, it's almost
set. A little bit different sets, but it's the same songs.
Depending on where they fall, if they're headlining or opening, you get more time to put
But it's the
stuff
same
in.
songs.
Yeah, for the most part. But I agree. I did like this where it's sort of night 1 and 2, you're definitely getting a unique experience, not only from the headliner between the Buried and Me, but also the opener as well. The Acacia Strain coming out and doing an album in its full for both nights as well, which is really cool that they're sort of like grabbing onto this sort of, I don't want to say gimmick, but this sort of structure of the show and following suit with
it. Yeah, structure, I think the structure would be a better word than gimmick.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from, but definitely the structure of like not repeating the set again.
Of course, though, if you go between cities, if you follow this band between city and city, you're getting the same experience.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people will do that for this particular performance. Again, that's sort of a different way to consume live music and go to different shows. Like, we like to go see bands multiple times. It does get a little repetitive and boring if you see the same thing multiple times. At the same time, I still have a blast when we see. Like, you brought up 3 Days Grace. Had a blast watching every one of those shows.
Yeah, the 5th time was funny because we knew exactly what was happening.
Yeah, by that time we had it memorized for sure.
Yeah, and we were just fucking around with each other.
yeah, that was fun. But before we dive super much like further into the music and the setup and everything, we haven't talked about the venue yet. This is your first time at this venue.
Oh yeah.
I've been here a handful of times for like EDM shows with my friends and whatnot. And we were sitting there beforehand, so it's a bar with a venue attached to it.
Yeah. Bar with restaurant.
Yeah.
And venue. Yeah.
And the bar's like always open. I think they shuttle people over to the Blackhawks games and maybe the Bulls games and whatnot. They don't always have a kitchen. Apparently, the kitchen's only open during events.
That's according to their website, so I don't know if that's true or not. But
so we went there ahead of time, got some food. I've been there for a few events for like also outside of concerts, like beer events that are hosted there and whatnot. I really like the space from like a restaurant and event setup.
Yeah.
Really cool, really big, open, sort of industrial building.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the big open area really makes it seem better or cooler. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's definitely, it's in the West Loop, so that's definitely like that vibe in the West Loop. So.
And you got like the train tracks right going by the windows, which is really cool to see. That's the thing I love is just the L line all over, all over the place.
It's like Chicago. Yeah, the Chicago-ness of the
exactly. But we were sitting there and before we went in, you asked like, how is this venue sort of laid out? And I kind of explained it as sort of a rectangle where, you know, it's stout, like it's not very deep, but it's long, or it's longer than it is deeper, and 1/3 of it is at the back from the entrance where you're going to have your restrooms and your merch is going to be set up, and that other 2/3 is going to be sort of the stage, which is sort of very narrow, not very deep, but small stage and everything like that. Did that sort of meet your expectations after when you walked in and saw it? Was that sort of how I described it, or how would you describe it a little different?
No, yeah, I mean, how you described it was fine, because you walk in and there's like a bar to your right, coat checks on your left, and then you just walk into this room.
As you're facing the stage.
I mean, we sat in the restaurant way too long, so it was very, very packed before we got in there, so we pretty much just stood by the soundstage.
Yeah, in the back.
So I didn't really get much vibe of the whole venue, unfortunately.
I was honestly not expecting it to sell out and to be as packed as it was, honestly, because we did go in about 7:45 and it was still very packed in there. I was kind of shocked.
I mean, it was a sold out show, so.
It was. I was just, I should stop being shocked that people show up early for acts now. Like,
well, this was unique because it was like two bands.
Yeah, and both playing their albums in full.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked this venue a lot. I thought it sounded fine. No issues.
Oh yeah, I
sound.
thought it sounded fine. Yeah. You said that you had been to a show, and like if you stand off to like the left side, so stage right, that the speakers don't really reach over there sometimes. So.
If I remember correctly, this was pre-2020 when we went to see some shows there. It's if you're on stage left, there's sort of these pillars holding up the ceiling that you can walk to the side of, and there's sort of like this little curtain thing, if I remember correctly. But the speakers are sort of on the left-hand side of that pole, and you can go to the right-hand side of that, and it's not nearly as good because the speaker isn't, like, you're off to the sound, and if you go up near the speaker and whatnot, so that can definitely not distort the sound, but make it not sound as crisp and good. But back by the soundstage, that's, I think, the first time I've seen a show from back that far at this venue, and it sounded great, I thought. But yeah, I guess let's dive into the set list then for the Acacia Strain. I mean, it's pretty much known. It says it right there in what we described. But go ahead and read off the set list.
So they started with Flourishing, Calf's Blood, Chain, Fresh Bones, Teeth of the Cursed Dog, Open Wound, Sinkhole, Is This Really Happening, Untended Graves, None of Us Asked to Be Here, 3750 or 3750. I don't know how you.
I go 3750.
Yeah, I think 3750. Brown Noise, Passing of the Pencil Test, Human Disaster, Cauterizer, Send Help, and they ended with Car Bomb.
So yeah, this is a long set list, 17 songs or so, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But their songs are rather short.
Oh, I see
sub
that.
Sub 3 minutes or so.
120, 140, 112.
Right. Yeah. And they played the album in full in its order, all the way up from Flourishing, starting with Flourishing all the way up to None of Us Asked to Be Here. And then they went into 3750, which saw three other songs, the next three, or those three songs from that album. And then Coma Witch, a few songs from there. So the set list I found on Setlist FM did have Car Bomb listed. I honestly don't know if it was played or not.
Yeah, because it said on the thing that would be played night 2.
Right, exactly. But again, it's only a minute 18, so maybe it was played or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know this band that well. This is our first time seeing the band.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised I haven't heard them on some playlist or something because it sounds like stuff I listen to.
I was gonna say it was very death metal, like
deathcore. Yeah,
deathcore-y. It was.
I'm gonna look up their genre. Is it like?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was something I could definitely see myself getting into, from time to time. But it definitely felt like more your style, more of what you would be super into. Which kind of threw me for a little bit because Between the Buried and Me, a very progressive metal band.
Yeah.
I was not expecting these guys.
Yeah, and they are deathcore. So, like, I got that vibe, but then sometimes it's deathcore plus. Blah, blah, blah.
Whatever.
I don't really care, but
like the genreizing of whatnot. It's got that sound, right?
Yeah, I think that's the best is to give a sound to what the band sounds.
It's
like.
close, like deathcore. Whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But you really like them, right?
I did really like them. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, we're standing by the soundstage. The light engineer and the sound engineer were standing there, and I see one of them pull up like a microphone to their mouth and count down from like 5, and then he got to 1, and then the lights dimmed, and I think he was talking to somebody backstage, like, get ready to go on stage. You have 5, 4, like, we're gonna kick this off. That's the first time I've ever experienced that or saw that. It was just really kind of cool.
So that's cool, but I didn't see it at all.
Yeah. I don't. When we do stand by the sound stages, not that I wasn't into the music, but a lot of times I do find myself like watching the sound engineers, what they're doing,
getting distracted.
The boards, what they're doing, and whatnot.
Sometimes it's also the lights that are by it distract me. Where it's like, I want to like look to see what the light is. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I like watching it because I'm more of like I don't care about the lights or getting distracted. It's more like I want to see what they're doing and how it's all functioning.
I mean, this is definitely when we get to Ireland, but one of the bands that we saw, I remember like there's one part where like when they're coming out, it's like their introduction and like the lights are flashing and the guy's literally like pushing the button to flash the lights. Yes.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I was like, I had just assumed everything was like, oh, push a button and it's like all.
So this one was definitely manual, like not manual where you're hitting the button. It's like pre-recorder, set in, whatever.
At the show that we just saw.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most of them are like that, but when I saw that, I was just like, that is hilarious that he's like pushing the button.
But I did see him during Between the Buried and Me go in and adjust the lights a little bit. So it is preset to like what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. But I want to know like how it's set. Like if you hit a button and then it starts off the sequence, or if everything is pretty well timed.
Yeah, that's
or if it's somebody up on stage that kick a pedal or something and that kicks off the, like, or we're going to start a song, kick the pedal, and then go. I don't know how that works. It'd be really interesting
Yeah,
to
to
learn
talk
about.
to somebody about that. Yeah.
But he was like opening up a particular light on this particular board he had. He can control each individual light. You like click on one, like dim this one or brighten this one up type thing.
Interesting.
Anyways, getting back to the
Yeah.
Acacia Strain, I've said this in the past. I don't like when bands play entire albums in their entirety, especially if they go in order.
But what if you don't know the band?
I don't know the band. I don't know this album. I couldn't tell, honestly.
I know exactly. Like I was just gonna say that. Like we have seen bands like Whitechapel that's played the Valley in Full and stuff like that, and like I know the, or we know like the sequence of songs, but in this, like, was it in order?
It was in order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went to see a show dancing with our friend Jerry, and we were talking. I was talking to him about that too. It's like I don't like this, and he's like, well, unless you really really like the album.
That's true.
And dancing played. I think Mother was the 35th anniversary of Mother or something, and played that entire album in full, but not in order. And he rearranged and shuffled around, which I like.
I did like that because then he was like, well, if you're counting, we have one song left, or like sort of thing. So, which I don't know the album, so I didn't know. But
for the Acacia Strain, there wasn't much crowd interaction. I don't remember for the album itself.
Oh no!
After the album, there was one comment he made that I really appreciated. Of, we're gonna play a few other songs for you. I wrote these 20 years ago. I don't resonate with these lyrics like I did. But I wrote them. They're fun songs. You enjoy them. Let's fucking play them.
Yeah, that is really. I mean, that aspect is very interesting because it is true. Like when you write a song, there's emotion and feels and everything that goes into the lyrics at that time. And then when you're playing, I mean, think of a Metallica. Like when they're playing a song 40 years from when they wrote it, it's like. Maybe you resonate with the lyrics. Maybe it's just like,
Right, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's so interesting. And I've never even really thought about that where it's like you are writing something and you're a lot younger. You're a lot, depending on what's going on with your life and everything at that time, it can come out totally different in the lyrics.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time, too, I think, from fans when they're standing in line either to get merch or get into the venue, right? They're like, Metallica has to be so sick and tired of playing Inner Sandman by now, right?
Yeah.
But the band would tell you, like, or even Disturbed, like, Down with the Sickness. You fucking play that every night. They got to be tired of that, right? Maybe they're not. Maybe it's like we love the crowd's response when we play this, and we love seeing the crowd react to it. Same thing here.
I think that's why you play it, though. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah,
I think that's why you play that, because it is the crowd reaction, and the crowd likes those songs, especially I'm going to say diehard fans that have been there forever. Like, they're going to go crazy for these songs versus other songs that are newer or something like that.
Right.
Because the other album just came out this year, I think, right? So it's all new? 2003?
The Night 2, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, I guess. Sorry. We're in 2024 now, not 2023. But, yeah, so, I mean, those are new songs. So playing some old stuff really gets the crowd going. So.
Right. And like you said, it doesn't resonate with me, but I like seeing you guys react to it and enjoy that. He didn't say that, but I'm assuming that's what.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. That's why they chose those songs. Yeah.
Super awesome. There was a woman holding a kid on stage the entire time.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, like, briefly, yeah.
Like this young little girl just sitting up there with those massive headphones on. Must be a daughter of somebody who's in the band, I'm assuming.
Probably, yeah.
But really cool to see her, like, following and just on stage. Even though she wasn't necessarily into it the entire time. She's a kid. She's, like, 4 or something, right?
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see, like, young kids always at the shows. That is fun.
Yeah, me too.
All in all, very surprising for me in terms of the music style. I wasn't expecting it, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy their set, I enjoyed their energy they brought. Really fun time to see these guys.
I guess I didn't look up the band at all, so I had no clue what to expect from them, and it was very surprising for me too, and I really enjoyed it. However, when we saw Between the Buried and Me, it was right after Whitechapel, which is another deathcore band, and I was like, I didn't like Between the Buried and Me because it was right after Whitechapel, blah, 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 blah. But this night was different, so.
That's a good segue, because we did see Between the Buried and Me the very first time. I don't know if we did an episode on that or not. If we did, it would have been one of our first episodes. I know we recorded it.
It was a long time. I don't think we ever posted that one.
But it was probably one of our first ones, and it probably sucked ass, so we didn't.
Yeah.
But if we did, it's up there, and it still sucks like all of our other episodes we do. Anyway.
I have looked. We have a consistent about 13 people that watch. So thank you to 13 of you who watch.
At least some of it. Not all the way through. Anywho.
Any hoodles. Thank you to the 2 people I know do watch this.
Cut any of that out.
I'm leaving it all in.
But in any case, yeah, we saw Trivium was the headliner. Then Between the Buried Me, right before them. Before that, we had Whitechapel. And opening very first was Chemist.
Yeah.
All in all, I love that fucking show. I love all of those bands. It is a very different style.
It is. Because you go from Doom to deathcore to progressive to
like newish metal.
Trivium. I don't know what Trivium's classified as.
I'd consider them new metal.
New metal,
sure.
yeah. I was gonna say that, but then I was like,
yeah,
are they new metal?
I put them in the new metal category for sure.
Just Trivium.
Thrashy new metal, something like that. They've definitely got a lot of thrash elements.
Yeah. Anyways.
And I do remember that show, and remember is a strong word. I have vague memories of that show.
Oh, I remember that show a lot.
And I remember liking Between the Buried Me a lot.
You did.
Like
I hated
very, very much. Like I loved them.
Yeah.
And I think this was after we saw Baroness.
It was
with
after.
Lamb of God.
Yes. Very soon after, if I remember right.
Right. And you also hated Baroness during that performance as well because it just didn't fit the music.
I think where it falls, yes. Like where it fell in the... I mean, so when we saw Between the Buried and Me the first time, it was like Whitechapel had these awesome growls and like, you know, I just... Immediately we went and bought one of their albums.
But you've also wanted to see Whitechapel for a long time up to that point.
Yes, I
So
have.
you were like super stoked to see that, and you would have preferred more Whitechapel time than Between the Buried and Me.
Between the Buried and
So
Me.
I think you were a little not judgmental, but a little biased at that point too.
But also, I mean, I was going to get into this when we talked about... I mean, I guess we are talking about Between the Buried and Me. But at the Trivium show with Between the Buried and Me, the vocals and just the sound of all the instruments was not cohesively put together.
See, and I can't remember that. I can't remember that.
I just remember like the vocals being very raspy sounding, and I was like, okay, so this guy is trying to do like I'm saying growl, but like in a deeper vocal, and it's just not coming over not correctly, but very well. And also, I didn't feel like all the mixing was very cohesive.
And that was also our first show at the Radius too, and we loved the Radius.
Was it the first show there?
It was the very first show at the Radius.
Okay,
yeah.
I couldn't remember. But anyways, so like I had that also where I was just like, and I'm a vocal person. We've said that so many times, and that just threw me off with his voice and everything at that particular show. Spoiler alert: at this show, I thought it sounded phenomenal, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I had a whole different aspect of the vocal part of the show.
I do remember that first time we saw them at the Radius with Trivium, and I remember being like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is progressive metal. You got all these like bluesy, jazzy, swinging elements
like
in
guitar
these
parts
songs,
and stuff,
plus super deep growls, plus clean vocals coming in. Like it's all over the place, but so cohesive. It's fucking awesome. I love this shit. It's also heavy. They're super fucking heavy. Like they're heavier. They're progressive metal. Baroness to me is progressive metal too, but this is more progressive and heavier than Baroness. And I remember telling you that, and you being like, "It's not heavy at all. I did not get anything heavy out of that. This was shit. I hated this. It wasn't good." Again, I think you're biased towards wanting Whitechapel, more Whitechapel
more than
time.
7 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe played into that a little bit, but
possibly. But also the sound just was not good.
We'll get into this when we get to the set list. So let's just dive into the set list.
We've already talked about it for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and we've already talked about it. It's the Color album in full.
Yeah. Which the Color album is Foam Born A, The Backtrack, B, The Decade of Statues, Informal Gluttony, Son of Nothing, Ants of the Sky, Prequel to the Special, Viridian, White Walls, and then they did an encore, which is not part of the album, of Voices of Trespass.
And so for the Colors album, it started out very melodic with the guitar, the piano bit coming in, and very slow, clean vocals.
Did you see me roll my eyes?
No, I was behind you, but I assumed you weren't happy.
I think I rolled my whole head, so you probably would have seen it. I think I was like, oh my God, no.
And I was like, this is awesome. I'm going to enjoy this. This is fun. But then it like cuts hard and goes hard super fast.
Yeah, it does go really hard fast.
And I think that's when I was like, oh, Karen's going to get into this. And that might be where I thought for Trivium, that's where the heavier bits were going to be. And like that's where it's like, oh, they're heavy, they're hard, they're fucking awesome. But the last track, Voices of Trespass.
Yeah.
Voice of Trespass. That is the swingy, bluesy,
that's true.
jazzy like bit that's all over the place.
Did you look up the set list that we saw with Trivium?
I did not know. We have that again. If we did this, it's on our last year.
So it's on 2022, right?
Yeah, let's pull up that playlist.
See. I'm just curious what they played because this was 2007, so it could be totally different than their newer stuff if they played more newer stuff in 2022 when we saw them. But I did enjoy this so much more, and I don't know if it was the mixing of the sound sounded much better or what the whole scenario was.
I think just the Color album itself is heavier than like that Voice of Trespass, right?
Yeah.
Which is a newer bit and whatnot. So I think we got a lot more of when we saw them with Trivium, it was a lot more of let's just throw shit in there and make a cool set versus this is
line by line, or
we're gonna play the album
track by
because
track.
we love this album.
Yeah.
And throw one extra one in there for an encore type thing.
Did you listen to Colors too?
I did, yes. I did listen to that.
How is it different than Colors, the regular Colors?
I think it's very similar.
Oh, is it similar? Okay.
I think it's very similar.
I did notice I was looking at their albums, and it is a lot of like Colors 2, Parallax, and then Parallax 2. So, I mean, they do a lot of that where they're...
Like a 1-2 type album.
Yeah, like and one of their albums only has like 3 songs on it.
Their tracks are long, like 10, 15 minutes sometimes.
Yeah. They could cut that down by taking out the progressive guitar parts.
But, I mean, I like it.
I know you do. I don't care for that at all. And those parts got pretty boring for me.
I Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd is only like 4 tracks also. And one of the greatest progressive bands of all time. And so fucking good. And those 4 tracks are just killer. And they're the same thing. They're super fucking long. I love this stuff. This reminded me not only of Pink Floyd, but from like a metal standpoint, this reminded me so much of Dream Theater, who we haven't seen and I want to see so bad.
Yeah. I don't really know Dream Theater music that much.
I started listening to Dream Theater after watching Mike Portnoy. I think I'm saying his last name probably wrong.
Portnoy?
Something like that. Yeah, sorry about that. But he did a whole thing going through his record collection over like the COVID time.
Right. We watched a lot of those.
I watched every single one. It was just
because he has like a record store type setup for all his records.
He does, and he was only going over his new stuff. He has old shit as well that he's collected through the years. This is all the new stuff.
Awesome to have that much.
It would be, and he's like he listens to it all, and he just goes through everyone and talks about the album like off the top of his head. It's really fucking cool. I love that shit. And after that, he was talking about Dream Theater, and that's when I started listening to him and get really into it. But listening to this particular show, this set, it reminded me a lot of listening to Dream Theater. And it made me give another perspective on listening to an album in full, where they played this album in order. But I think it works. I think the songs sort of go with each other. One song melds into the other one. And that's one of the reasons I love like concept albums and these progressive albums, that you do listen to them as a whole, the whole album as itself. Yeah. You can pick one song out, but it works better as a whole piece.
Maybe that's why it seemed better. This show seemed better than when we did see them with Trivium, where it was like just one song from each album sort of thing, where it doesn't cohesively go together. Not that it doesn't cohesively go together, but I feel like it. I enjoyed this so much more, and the only thing I could think of is the sound, and the song sounded harder than when we saw them with Trivium.
And I haven't really listened to them much since that show. I listened to them a little bit afterwards and from time to time here and there. So I don't know their stuff all that well, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I wish we could have gone to night 2.
Yes.
To see Colors 2.
But check out next week's episode, why we didn't go.
Right. And we're going to do a whole episode on this too, like an encore episode that will be released on 420, call it like 420 FOMO or whatever the fuck we'll call it. But
I don't know.
About this whole concept of multiple shows being booked at the same time. So looking ahead at next week, we're going to talk about 68, going to see them at Cobra Lounge, just a few blocks away from Bottom Lounge. We bought Cobra Lounge first, and then this was announced for night 1 and 2, and I was like, fuck, I want to go to both.
Yeah. You almost bought both of them, and I was like, wait, we have 68.
I did, yeah.
Because you've done that before where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get these now, and you don't look at the schedule and we already have something booked.
I've only done that once that we've actually double booked.
They've actually done it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I'm pretty good at looking.
Okay.
There's just a few times where I don't look and you have to correct me.
Okay, but only once you actually bought tickets.
Only once did we ever actually double book.
Okay.
Because I was just super fucking excited. And that was the dancing show.
Yes.
It was Riot Fest because Dresden Dolls were back in town.
Yes.
Haven't seen them since like the mid 2000s. And I want to fucking see them so bad. I just got so excited that like, give me Riot Fest tickets. And nope, couldn't go.
And we already had, and not that we couldn't go to Riot Fest instead, but we had friends coming for dancing. So
exactly.
It's like we couldn't be like, well, here's your tickets for dancing. We're going to be at Riot Fest. So
in all honesty,
we could have went to Riot Fest and then saw dancing.
I would have gone to see Dresden Dolls. I think The Cure played that night. I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I would see the Dresden Dolls and then book right over to see dancing.
Yeah, we could have done that. But
we had friends in town. We wanted to entertain and see our friends. Like that was more important to see our friends and hang out with them.
It was see Dresden Dolls. We will see Dresden Dolls next year.
Hopefully this year. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think we're gonna make it this year.
We'll see. Oh yeah. After the show, we were sitting there waiting to like just the crowd to thin out, and a guy walks up to us. Do you know anything about the Chicago CTA? I thought he was saying like,
I need to know how to get home.
Exactly. I don't know where to go. I'm new in town or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, we're familiar with it. And I said it in that way. It'd be like, you
kind
can
of.
ask us.
I think he said kind of.
Kind of. Yeah, something like that. Because it was like, you can ask us and I'll do my best to answer your question. More than likely I can, but I don't want to give you any false hope that like,
I
how do I get to here, here?
Yeah, like I can tell you exactly how to get to that address.
But we said kinda, and he hands us a sticker. BTBAM is what it says.
BTBAM.
BTBAM for Between the Buried and Me. And then he talks to us some more, and he's like, "Are you a Sox fan?" It's like, "Nope, Cubs." Fuck you.
Because he's a Brewers fan.
He's a Brewers fan. We stole their coach. So hopefully we do good this year with that coach. But we'll see. Anywho,
baseball, nobody cares.
Sports balls. But then he hands us a pack of more stickers. All like the Cubs logo with colors. Sox was
colors in the socks.
Colors in the socks.
Downwards, in black and white,
The two album covers sort of melded together. Colors 1, color 2. Super fucking cool that just this random ass fan walking around handing out stickers to other fans.
Yeah.
Hey,
it is really cool. That's a really cool aspect or concept.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's really cool. Then, I'm assuming he made these stickers, and here you go. I'm going to share the art I've made, like my fan art, with other fans.
Yeah.
Really cool, fun experience right there. Any case, great fucking show overall.
Yeah.
I wish we could have gone to Colors 2, Night 2. But like I said, we had 68, which we're going to do an episode on next week. When you left after this show got over, knowing you were going to see 68 the next night, were you more excited to see 68, or were you in the mindset of, I kind of wish we could skip 68 and come to Colors 2?
That one. I really, and I was even telling you, because with 68 was Callous Cowboys, which I'm not, we saw them before and I'm not a fan. And so I was like, I even told you, I was like, well, I could buy tickets to this show because I don't think it was sold out. I'm pretty sure on the website you can still buy tickets. So I was like, I could buy tickets to this show, or to Night 2, see Acacia Strain, and then book it over to see 68. And I would have to skip
the Colors,
or Colors 2, but I would be able to see Acacia Strain again because I really like them. So, but we already had tickets. So, what was your thoughts?
I'm kind of in the mindset of, I wish I would have been able to see Colors 2, but seeing 68 and seeing something different, I was perfectly fine doing that.
Yeah.
It's its own unique show. It's its own unique bands. I want to go check that out too. I wish we could have done Colors 2, but at the same time, you can't do everything.
Yeah.
So it did suck. I wish we could have done it, but whatever. It is what it is. I know you did bring that up. I forgot about that, of being like, I really want to see Acacia Strain again. So I'll come see that, and then I'm going to leave to come see 68.
I'm glad I did it because of the opener for the 68 show. But, yeah, that was my whole thought process.
Yeah. I guess the one last comment, though, I have about this, and I think we talked a little bit about this, is I kind of wish they didn't have Acacia Strain as the opener. I kind of wish they did.
You said this. Yeah.
Just one show of 2 sets. The first set is Colors 1. Take a 15-minute break, intermission, whatnot, 30 minutes, whatever it is. Come back and do Colors 2.
Yeah.
But as I said, I really like that Acacia Strain sort of went with the theme of this tour.
Yeah.
And like, fuck it. We're going to do 2 separate albums in its entirety as well that we typically don't do to give the fans a unique experience.
Yeah. I do like these more unique shows. And just as you were saying that, like keeping with the theme or whatever, we did see A Day to Remember and Wage War do
the acoustic set.
And I knew, I knew before that it was going to be acoustic because Wage War ended up releasing the stripped album, which was the acoustic songs. But at first I was like, no, like A Day to Remember will do the acoustic, and then like Wage War will just put on a Wage War show. You know, like I was in that mindset for a long time until I found out about the stripped album. But I think that would be really weird to have like kind of a theme of like acoustic night and then have like one not be and one be acoustic. So in this case with Acacia Strain, it would be kind of weird for them to just be like, here's our set list. Like we're going to play the same thing tomorrow night. So
yeah.
Thanks for coming back.
Or Metallica where it's like night 1 you get these openers, night 2 you get completely different openers.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
So it is a unique show.
Yeah.
But like you could also have Five Finger Death Punch put on unique sets
2
as well.
Sets. That'd be hard for Five Finger Death Punch. I feel like they play the same songs at every show.
Well, that's the thing, right? You're forced to.
You're forced to pull out of your catalog a little bit more.
Right. So I used to be a big Magic the Gathering fan. And I listened to this podcast by Mark Rosewater, The Drive to Work.
I forgot about that.
But he's like the lead designer for Magic the Gathering, and he has a really good thing he always says where it is constraint breeds creativity, or if you put constraints on yourself, you're forced to be creative and find solutions to problems.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you take this away from you, or Metallica, we're not going to play anything off the Black Album. What's your set list look like there?
Oh my gosh, like 6 of their songs are from the Black Album.
So like adding that constraint into like self-imposed constraint really can change how you do your thing.
Yeah.
So again,
I guess you could say that about us because we used to be. We're only going to see these 4 bands when they come to Chicago, where we don't really go outside the box. And now it's like, are you playing a live show? We will show up.
Exactly, right. So that was my one sort of comment or thing I would possibly change. But also, again, I'm happy that Acacia Strain went with the theme and did the same thing.
I do remember you saying like it would have been cool to do Colors 1, intermission, Colors 2. Even doing it 2 nights would be cool because then you could sell double the tickets.
Possibly.
But I don't know. Maybe we'll catch them again and they'll do something similar with one of their other albums, and we'll be able to see both shows.
Maybe that'd be fun. But in any case, this was an awesome show. I'm glad we went. I'm glad you had a good time. I was kind of worried that you weren't going to enjoy it.
Even at dinner, you were like, or when we were sitting in the restaurant area, you're like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's just my face. Nothing's wrong with me." But I think you were already worried that I was going to have a horrible time.
I was, and you were going to ruin my experience because you were.
Yeah, because I ruined your experience so much.
Yeah, you do. Anywho, this was an awesome show. It was live music in general, so live music is just awesome. But in any case, go out there, find fucking music. Go find live music. Live music is so awesome. You're going to meet amazing people who just hand out fucking stickers, possibly.
Not us.
No, not
other
us.
people.
But the fucking fans are awesome. The bands are awesome. The whole thing is just so much fun. Go experience live music.
Bye.